Hi, so today, ma'am, I will discuss about for my final examination of how will you promote the Philippines after this pandemic and hashtag restore tourism that we need to, and I will explain why do I think the Philippines is the best choice to travel. So from the start, tourism is one of the sector most severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in our countries, where is it a key economic pillar. And in helping countries like Philippines, we need to bounce back and restore tourism because there are activities in the new normal, digital innovation play a crucial role. So once pandemic-related travel constraints are lifted, and the Philippine Tourism Department has embarked on a digital tourism drive to promote its tourist attraction and to promote international visitor arrivals. So they also enforce the implementation of strict health security guidelines by tourism implements, which we need to have establishment by supporting contactless and cashless transaction. And in the meantime, local official we need to implement an efficient digital contract tracing approach because as you all know, tourism is one of the huge that has an impact with this pandemic. And we have connecting analysis and GIS based data encoding that capturing or contract tracing, which provides the city official with a greater insight into the city handling with the COVID-19 cases. So let's start on why is it we still need to visit Philippines after this pandemic, because as you all know, it's more fun in the Philippines because whatever type of travel adventure you're looking for, you're bound to discover a fun experience in the Philippines. As number one, by the way, we have a summer weather in this country or in the Philippines. Like almost a year is a summer. So if you want the rays of the sun to kiss your skin, your dream paradise is the Philippines. The Philippines has only two seasons as a tropical country, the dry and rainy season. The dry season runs from November to May, while the rainy seasons normally runs between June and October. It's still sunny and warm during the rainy month, so tours in the Philippines are still ongoing with some cancellation only required if necessary. And as I've seen right here, where some of the destination is still have an income even though there is a rainy season. But summer season, including the months of March, April, and May, during this summer season, island and beach destination such as Boracay, Palawan, and Cebu in the Philippines are best to enjoy. Second one, we have a friendly and warm Filipinos. So as you all know, as Filipino, we have to welcome all of our tourists as a family. Well, the warmth and hospitality of the Filipino is a justification for you so to visit this country. And since we have one of the apart of picture spot in the Philippines, it's constantly tops friendliness survey and was even considered Asia's friendliest country. You will be welcomed with a sense you are actually will be welcoming, sincere, and caring with a smile of Pinoys. And the moment your plane lands in here in the Philippines, Filipinos are also very proud of their country, beauty of their history. That is why locals will go out of their way to help you out. And when they encounter travelers who are visiting the country, communicating skill doesn't matter because it's not a problem here in the Philippines. Most of the Filipino speak English language and understand it, making it truly convenient place for international tourists. Since Filipino will lead you and you do not need to worry about getting lost in here. Because asking a question on the way which you will go, they can actually surely understand you and guide you on your way. And during your journey here, there are also very hospitable Filipinos as part of their tradition, or my tradition as well. So they have a close family ties. If you have a Filipino friends, welcoming you to their house, they'll treat you like a member, yes, of their family. And they can even serve you a Filipino home-cooked meal. This is actually one of the reason why there is a lot of tourists would like to go in the Philippines, because they actually can treat you as a family member. Number 3, we have a budget-friendly destination. Cost is one of the traveler's main consideration. Well, in the Philippines, the cost of living and traveling is affordable. There are several days or tours around 1,000 pesos or around $20 only. In the Philippines, you can find that there are also a lot of accommodation options for you, hotels or like an expensive bed, breakfast, accommodation, all ideal for backpackers. Food is also cheap in the Philippines, and you will find yourself in a decent breakfast that actually can offer a Filipino food with for you with a coffee and approximately 100 pesos to 150, which is $2 to $3 only. The same applies to your dinner and lunch. And alcohol is also cheap. So you can have a nice nightlife when you travel without breaking the bank. And it doesn't cost much local transportation here in the Philippines, because as well, if you're traveling with a party, split cost you might just find much cheaper, because you can actually spend at least 2 weeks in the Philippines as a budget-friendly destination to explore. And a decent group islands or beaches that we have here, and there we actually have a lot of attraction here, beach and land attraction, without having to spend too much, because as you all know, we are a budget-friendly country. But in the Philippines, facilities considered expensive, such as pampering services, items such as spa, massage, fine dining, are also comparatively cheaper in here in the Philippines. If you're lucky after your journey, you may just have some money left that you can use to purchase some locally produced souvenirs in the Philippines. And number 4, we have a Philippine beaches and islands. Via publication like Code Nas Traveler or like a CNN, HuffPost and more, the Philippines regularly tops the best beaches in the island list in the world. And as I can see here, you can ignore the fact that Philippines is blessed with the charm of nature wonder, with over 7,000 islands and white sand beaches extending from the coast to coast in crystal clear blue water. In the Philippines, you will not run out of island to explore, because there is a lot. And most of these islands are untouched by resort modernity or providing visitors with their much needed break from the hassle and bustle of your life. The most beautiful island in the world, including Boracay, Palawan, and Siargao, are located in the Philippines. The white beach, a long trench, powdery white sand where you can enjoy the water sports, aside from enjoying the views of the sunset, is home to Boracay. 2 towns in Palawan are still included in the must-visit list of the travelers, just like El Nido and Coron, both home to pristine islands with magnificent towering calcareous rock formation that can be visited with hopping package. And on the other hand, Siargao is rapidly becoming a hub for surfers. Beach lovers alike also has an untouched islands that can be visited by joining a Siargao island hopping trip. And also, number 5, we have natural wonders unique to Philippines. Why? Because the Philippines is blessed with natural wonders that are exceptional. Yes. When you do go to Puerto Princesa Underground River, it will tour you a lot of rocks, which will take you to Subterranean River National Park of Puerto Princesa Be in Cave. It is a wonder world longest navigate underwater river, is both UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the latest seven natural wonders. And we have the underground river of Puerto Princesa, has an underground river cave system with spectacular formation of stalactites and stalagmites. And we have the Chocolate Hills in Bohol, which has 1,000 of hills that seems like a giant chocolate kisses, are also home to the Philippines. In fact, chocolate hills arouse from coral deposits through rain and erosion. If you ever wondered what like to live back when there is still no modernization in the Philippines back there. But a trip to Cordilleras in North Luzon will give you an idea. There you can see an Ifugao's rice terraces, an indigenous community of people living in the mountains of Cordillera. The waterfalls are also an enchanting sight in the Philippines. By participating in tours to Kawasan Falls in Cebu, Pagsanhan Falls in Pangasinan, and Bomad Oak Falls in Sagada, you can discover some of the best waterfalls in the Philippines or other natural wonders in the Philippines. You can include Batangas Taal volcano, the world's smallest active volcano, and that is on a we actually have a Legazpi Mayon volcano, which has the most perfect calm in the world. Filipinos sure know how to throw a party on the highway, and they do it complete costume with colors. Festival in the Philippines are one of the Asian most enjoyable, friendly, and noisy. But make sure your camera is prepared or primed, because the wildest smile and happy faces to snap in the Philippines festival, or we're calling it a fiestas, are either religious or historical and cultural. And also, let's go for the religious festival honor of Roman Catholic figures, historical festivals which celebrate major events. So while cultural festivals celebrate enough of encourage goods to celebrate a bountiful harvest, one of the religious festival is the Ati-Atihan, which that is festival held every January in honor of Santo Niño in Calibo, Aklan, which is, we're calling it Child of Jesus. Catch performers is elaborated costume and rejoice while they expect the parade and go wild about the food stalls and a lot of street dancing with locals. And also, we have the Sinulog Festival in Cebu, also in honor of Santo Niño, which attract millions of festival goers, is yet another much awaited festival every January. So the annual Grand Street Parade features street dancer which is dressed in colorful costume. Performing the Sinulog dance, you will be treated to show your fireworks and get to join with the street dancers. Parties that will make you feel like you were part of the wide group. And the passion of the Filipinos for merrymaking is also an evident of Panagbenga Festival, which we're celebrating in Baguio City's Pride. This is one is must-see whether you love flowers or gardening. Every February, the Panagbenga Festival is an annual flower festival with life-sized floats that come in all shapes, sizes, and all made from real flowers. And we have the seventh is the delicious Filipino cuisine. If you still did not go in Philippines, you still need to go in the Philippines after this pandemic. Because if there is one thing that you can separate from the Philippines from the neighborhood of Asian nation, it is the melting pot of diverse culture that Spain, the US, and even Japan have colonized. Not only that Philippines has a strong relations with the Chinese and Malays, this rich history and tradition translate into one thing that remains of everyone to be universal food. Well, due to the diversity of the influence of Philippine cuisine, when you Google national food of the Philippines, you might not find single response, but the Philippines has always successfully carved its own place in gastronomic scene despite of having that has either taken its origin from another culture or has been recreated to suit the Filipino palate without fasting on a new but rarely affordable. Seafood, your trip to Philippines will not be complete. Yes, because we do all have need to take the seafood of the Philippines. Why? In Rojas City in Capiz, the seafood capital of the Philippines, if you can get enough of the new crabs, shrimps, and other tasty seafood, we do have here served with freshly cooked seafood and delicious tropical fruits, which we're having some boodle fight, if you know what I mean, guys. Go on a trip to Pampanga, the culinary capital of the Philippines, is just a few hours away from the capital of Manila to taste and best for the bestest food in the Philippines. Now let's go to number 8. Number 8, we have here incredible diving and snorkeling spot. Yes, because we are surrounded in the Philippines, like half of it is a water. And like no others, the Philippine diving spot offer an underwater experience, dive and be all with the reach of marine biodiversity of the world. You will discover that more than just its beaches and islands, the Philippines is also a paradise for underwater life. Yes, Palawan is the host of UNESCO World Heritage listed, which is we have Tubata Reef, home to almost half of the world's coral, and we have Cebu, takes pride in diving spots that are on par with the best in country. You can visit the sardine running experience at Cebu's Mualbual and swim with millions of sardines, Malapascua, where their sharks are more frequently seen, is another renowned diving spot in Cebu. And we have lionfish, batfish, tuna, and several more are other creatures that you're likely to see. Another diving kit worth checking out is in Anilao, Batangas, just hours away from Manila, guys. In other islands or provinces, it is ideal for travelers who have a little time to discover a diving spot. So let's go to number 9. There are exciting outdoor adventures like Philippines has a wide variety pictures, mountain trails that you can choose from your hiking experience and all come in different sizes. Hiking in the Philippines is going to be a great adventure for you. Whether you're a novice or a pro, it may be tiring to climb in the Philippines, but you will be rewarded with the breathtaking sceneries such as a cloud sea or majestic waterfalls. The Mount Pulag hike and the North Luzon, or we have as well Mount Pinatubo day hike in Tarlac with 4x4 trail trip, and Mount Pico de Loro hiking tour in Batangas, and Mount Apo in Davao, which is the highest in the world, are some of must-try hiking tours to incline. So let's go to number 10. Encounter wild and rare animals. The Philippines is also home to the world's smallest primate, which we have at Tarsier, which you can visit on protection of Tarsier, or you can visit that in Bohol. The wide eyes of these nocturnal animals are distinct, yes, and can be found only in Bohol. Aside from the tarsier, we have variety of Philippines animal that you should see, just to impress you, and from wild to rare to most adorable species. A travel to Donsol in Bicol region is once in a lifetime. Experience it aside from the underwater creatures, and you might find a well diving in the Philippines, such as the Sardine Run in Mualbual and Crest Shark in Malapascua. It is one of the whale shark migratory routes known locally as butandings. You can only find that in Cebu in the Philippines, where the giant gentle creatures can see and swim with them, which is a healthy and stressless distance. The magnificent Philippine eagle, which is the country of national bird, is another stunning creature, not just overlooked, but you can visit that on the Philippines. We're down to 11. 11, we do have here a unique Philippine transportation, which we're calling, or it said, jeepney. And Philippines are rarely know about this kind of transportation. You'll find colorful vehicle playing the roads of the Manila and other busy center throughout the country until you arrive in the Philippines. These are called jeepneys or jeeps. And as one of the main local public transportation, they are unique to the Philippines because the fare is also very cheap. Because of the local and culture immersion, riding a jeepney is known by many travelers as much as I do, while in the Philippines, jeepney with their route plastered in front. And you can see that they are decorated in loud colors. If you're riding a jeepney, take a note that local terms such as para, which is stop, and bayad po, here's my payment. The culture of being helpful in the Filipinos is also expressed as they assist each other. Like passing the driver's payment is particularly if you're sitting right at the jeep door. In the Philippines variant of a rickshaw, also known as a tricycle or trike, is one of another fascinating form of the transportation in the Philippines. This is almost similar to the tuk-tuk of Thailand, but except it is a motorbike connected with the sidecar. There is another variant of tricycle that you can see here in the Philippines. There are another variant which we're calling a pedicab. By locals, these two vehicles are intended for shorter trips and typically found in provinces with narrow roads and fewer jeepneys. Because as you know, we encounter these unique transportation vehicles, make sure to take a picture of yourself because without riding a local, no trip to the Philippines is complete. Some areas in the Philippines are better explored for a more robust travel experience with tricycle transport tours. Let's down from number 12. We have preserved history of the Philippines. The best way to get to know a place is to learn its history. And since it has played many a role in the history of the world, the Philippines has its fair share of stories. Learn about the historical and heritage tours and encounters of the Philippines from the pre-colonial era of occupation of Spain, America, and Japan to find out about the events that transformed from the nation into what is it today. Intramuros, the walled city, is a jewel. As you all know, Intramuros has a lot of cultural in the Philippines, and one of that one is that's actually placed in Manila. And in the heart of the capital of the Philippines of Manila, you can find the wall. It was established beginning in 1521, and during the Spanish period, it was seat of the power in the Philippines. You can see the evidence in the Filipino resilience and bend in each ruin as you walk around Intramuros. On bamboo bike, ride with a guide, or horse-drawn or carriage tour, walk around Intramuros and you can find some of the best repose stories of the past, including the two of the oldest churches in the Philippines. You can find the Church of San Agustin and Cathedral of Manila. A ride to Fort Santiago in Manila has a majestic Hispanic stone fortress that houses museum with relics of the past is one of the best intramuros escapade. The Rizal Shrine, which pays tribute to Spanish era, which has been our national hero of the Philippines, and that is Jose Rizal, is another must see. Nearby in the world oldest Chinatown, Binondo, where you can take a day trip to Binondo and feast on delicious Chinese dishes. A tour of Corregidor Island is another must to try of all, and you can see the history lovers where you'll find abandoned buildings and tunnels, all reflection of the past, including the tragic of Bataan Death March during American-Japanese War. Enter Calle Crisologo. That is one of the famous visit or like a trip to go in Ilocos. So a tour of Corregidor Island is another must. And as you all know, we are now on Calle Crisologo tours, which you can locate as one of the new seven wonder in the cities of Vigan Ilocos Sur, with will preserve Spanish-era cobblestone streets and houses. For more lively experience, you can go there and see the rarely beautiful place. So we have the Tabon Cave, which is discovery in Palawan, is a must to do. Dig deeper in the Philippine history and go beyond the colonial period. Due to the import archaeological objects found here, it's known as a cradle Philippine culture. Let's go down on the 13. We have a fun nightlife. The Filipinos know how to throw the best parties in here. And whether in the city or on the beach in islands of pristine white sand, want a party? Under the star and you can see the beach, travel over Boracay Island. That's one of the best places that you can go, and which you can see the pub crawl. And if do you want to have party while overlooking the scrapers in the city, in Bonifacio Global City, which we're calling BGC in Taguig, check out the bars are more of trendy, speakeasy, and laid-back bar. We have a lot of fun here at the nightclubs. There's a Poblacion strip of nightclubs, bars in Makati. Filipinos sure how to do it, whether you like the parties loud or low-key, but don't miss the chance in the Philippines to try the local beer, which it's very inexpensive and it's considered as one of the best in the world. International travelers in the Philippines, another popular activity is karaoke. Well, that is very famous in the Philippines once you sing in karaoke. And out of your favorite song, there are a lot of karaoke in Philippine street. But as of the moment, guys, since we're experiencing a pandemic while we are still in a new normal, roughly our fun night and some nightclubs are just strictly prohibited as of the moment, but it will be continue once this pandemic will be caught or will be off. And that is my discussion about how I think the Philippines is the best choice to travel. Thank you for watching, ma'am.